For us, it's implemented around what you actually do at home on a daily basis. So the kinds of foods you eat, the way you travel, the energy you use, and everything that you do is really part of a choice you can make. So your choices, are you doing things to live life better, that's for the benefit of all, or are you doing things because it's kind of selfish and it's to the detriment of all? So it's that choice, and you're making that every day, all the time.
Well, in Africa, for example, in Southern Africa, I always believe that when you say Africa, you need to get out that Africa is one homogeneous continent. It's very different from one another, and where we work at Southern Africa, which is, I always say, you have a history of liberation movements in Southern Africa, so their consciousness is much different, and their education is relatively higher than West Africa, for example, where literacy rates are very low. So I think for Southern Africa, one way to really do work on ESD is, first of all, to appreciate the work that has been done by the communities. It's not, for me, sustainable development is not a 21st century invention. No, even if I say now there's this new adjective, sustainable, in fact, the indigenous communities were sustainable, except that now their populations have grown, have increased, they are faced with different challenges. But I think we need to start from where they have come from and use their own history, their own cultures to understand what has happened through time. No, because when you look at all these communities in Southern Africa, you have many ethnic groups and they have different ways of sustainable development. But now this has been overpowered, this has been overtaken by modern practices as well as, of course, their own practices as a response to development. So I think our first challenge is to understand where the people are in different communities, because unless we understand their different contexts, and that's why I say from the beginning, there's no one size fits all for education for sustainable development. You really have to start from your community, from your population you want to work with.
Yeah, in practice, there are a number of methodologies that one can look at. You can look at the formal education, and if we mainstream those values in our formal education, it just means that then the system can take care. The education system can take care of those values, but we shouldn't just look at those values as static things. So we can look at research, and the research doesn't necessarily have to come from formal institutions of research. It also comes from our everyday, everyday activities and actions, and we feed those back into our formal education system. And then also there is informal and non-formal education, where we have formulated and structured courses that actually engage with people, be it our close communities or even broader communities of action, people who affect and have an effect on the immediate world that we live in. And then also by having information and having information available and having access to that information, that's another way that we can ensure that we continuously engage with education for sustainable development. Bearing in mind that it's not static, so we always have to ensure that we discover more, think more about our actions. That, for me, that's how we can continuously engage with ESD, bearing in mind that the solutions can be good for now, but we just have to make sure that they don't, in the long run, have a negative impact.
Well, we need more investment in ESD. We need people to invest in it personally and from a financial perspective. We know from our survey work, 50,000 students have completed our survey over 8 years. 61 or 62% on average want to learn more about sustainable development. There's a demand from students to learn more about ESD. So we need our policymakers, our institutional managers, our funders to listen to that demand. And it's only if they listen to that demand will society become more sustainable.
From our experience, the best ways to implement ESD is through communities. What we're doing is having this amazing population and a generation of leaders, which is youth, because in our countries, this critical mass of activators and change makers. So we're actually doing that through them and having them to be the facilitators of these topics, the facilitators in their communities, and the leaders that are taking these topics into their communities, into the decision makers, and into small policies and decisions that are taking place in their hometowns. And for us is going broad, but also going very deep with them in terms of how they're thinking critically, how they're thinking systemically, but also how they're reflecting their values into their decisions and their involvement with community.
Yeah, for me, I think one of the things that we need as people is we need the opportunity to go outside of our everyday lives, that we can reflect better on what our everyday life is about. So I think the role of non-formal education, like an environmental education center or an opportunity to go outside and to be part of nature, to be honest, I think it really is about nature. That is what the earth is about, and I understand that there are a lot of other issues that are surrounding sustainable development, but it is the protection of the natural environment that I believe is most important, and for us as people to understand and to be part of this natural environment, that we are not separate from it. And that is really what then, when we are in our everyday lives and we are using things for nature, in nature, in order for us to survive, be it food or the clothes we wear or what we buy or whatever, that actually the connection to the natural environment is in the foreground. It's the most important part. So I think experiential learning, being part of the environment, actually having role models of people who are practicing what they are teaching and not just talking about something theoretical that could happen, is, to me, one of the most important things. Our center in Namibia, Nadit Center, we are in the middle of the desert. We have the beautiful environment that is part of a nature reserve. And there, the idea is that the participants that come to our center, they learn about the environment, in the environment. How do the animals and plants survive in this harsh desert? You know, if there's no water, what will they do in order to adapt to be able to survive? But applying that to the school curriculum, for example, where the children are learning, or adults are teaching about scientific principles, and applying that to nature, and then seeing, okay, well, how can we apply that to, example, solar cooking? So we need food every day. We need our food to be cooked. Why not cook it in a solar cooker? And not just for show, but for real. So it's this combination of what can we learn from nature, how can we apply it to the science that we learn at school or anything else that we are learning at school, and then how can it be actually implemented in our everyday lives.